November 1922. A British archaeologist opens a tomb sealed for 3,300 years. The next moment, a serpent is crushed by a rock. A canary is devoured by a snake, and within weeks, men begin to die. The world cries out, "It's the curse of the pharaoh." But was the curse real, or a convenient invention to hide something more sinister? Tutankhamun was 9 years old when he became pharaoh. He ruled for just 1 decade and died mysteriously at the age of 19. For 3 millennia, his name was erased from history until Howard Carter, an obsessed archaeologist, discovered his tomb in Egypt. But the discovery was no fluke. Carter spent 15 years searching for the tomb. And when he finally found it, in 1922, the sponsor of the expedition, Lord Carnarvon, made a bizarre deal. He could open the tomb, but he would never reveal what was in the last chamber. Why? Maybe he already knew that there was something dangerous there. Legend has it that upon entering the tomb, Carter found a plaque that read, "Death will sweep away anyone who disturbs the pharaoh's dream." But that's a lie. No archaeologist saw this inscription. It was a press invention. However, the signs of the curse began quickly. Carter's canary was killed by a snake, a symbol of Egyptian royalty. Lord Carnarvon, the financier, died 5 months later, bitten by a mosquito. His death was horrific. High fever, delirium, and a final scream of "Tutankhamun calls me." The press exploded, and suddenly, every death linked to the tomb became proof of the curse. In 5 years, 12 people linked to the tomb died. The press called them the 12 disciples of the curse. But the truth? Most of them had nothing mysterious deaths. An Egyptian prince was murdered by his lover's husband. A radiologist died of cancer. 15 years later, even Carnarvon's dog made the list. He howled and died at the same time as his owner. But one case intrigued even scientists. Millionaire George J. Gould visited the tomb and died of fever within 24 hours. What was inside? In 1999, biologists analyzed the tomb and discovered something shocking. The walls were covered in deadly fungi. One of them, Aspergillus flavus, causes pulmonary hemorrhages, just like Lord Carnarvon's. But how? Tutankhamun died young. His mummy was hurriedly embalmed and placed in the still damp tomb. For 3,000 years, bacteria and fungi grew in the tight air, until Carter opened it up and released the spores into the air. In other words, the curse was harmful air. But wait, does that explain everything? In 2020, a new theory emerged: radiation. The Egyptians used uranium in ceramics and paints. And guess what? Tutankhamun's tomb had objects with high levels of this material. Radiation causes fever, organ failure, and death. But how did the Egyptians know this? They didn't. They only used uranium because it was bright. But locked away for centuries, radon gas accumulated in the tomb. And when Carter opened the door, it leaked. This would explain why only a few died. Those who stayed inside the longer inhaled the invisible poison. Now the dark side, the curse was invented. By who? By the press itself. In the 1920s, newspapers competed for audience, and Carnarvon's death became gold. The Daily Mail paid $5,000 for exclusivity and created horror stories. Even Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes, got in on the act. "It was an Egyptian demon," he said. But why did Carter never die? He lived until 1939. Simple. The curse was fake, and he knew it. After all, the ones who profited from the hysteria were the archaeologists themselves, who sold film and photo rights for fortunes. While the West was talking about curses, the Egyptians were shouting something else: plunder. Tutankhamun was looted. His treasures were taken to Europe. His mummy was photographed naked and displayed as a trophy. And here is the real curse. In 1922, Egypt was fighting for independence against the British. The curse diverted the world from the real terror: colonial violence. While Carnarvon was dying, Egypt was plundered, and Tutankhamun was transformed into a clown for European entertainment. Now that was the endless curse. Today, Tutankhamun's tomb is empty. His treasures are in museums, and his mummy in a climate-conditioned dome. The curse? It never existed. It was a mixture of chance, science, and greed. But perhaps the true spirit of Tutankhamun still screams, not for revenge, but to remind us that history is not only what we open, it is also what we choose to ignore. If you have gotten here, it's because you love real mysteries. Give it a like if you believe that history always hides secrets. And don't forget, The most dangerous curse is not subscribe and miss the next videos. Until next time, if you survive,